Today I'm going to show you how to add new chickens or juvenile chicks to an existing flock without any fighting. If you do it properly, which we're going to do, it can be a bit of a slow process, but in the long run it is totally worth it. And for their safety and health, I highly recommend that you stick with it instead of trying to rush it and do this all in just a day or two. So once your chicks are fully feathered, around 6 to 8 weeks old, and of course depending on the weather and where you live, you can start moving them outside. As you can see, they look like little mini adults. It's perfectly safe for them to be outside. They've actually been out here for a couple of weeks now. I had them in a rabbit hutch, and with no rabbit in it, of course. To get used to the weather, it had a nice indoor part and an outdoor part. And it was right near this run that I have my adult hens in, so they could see each other somewhat. But now we have this. It's made out of little PVC pipe and wire. And this is in, as you can see, it's in like the actual chicken run that all of my adult hens are in. So now they are in the hens territory. Some hens will get really, really aggressive. I got a lot of breeds that are known to be docile, but they're still territorial animals. But luckily you can see they really aren't fazed by it. They don't really care. And I think part of what helped is the fact that I had them in the hutch very close to their enclosure for a couple of weeks already, so they're already used to seeing and hearing them. Now, if I were to just throw them in here loose, there would be a higher risk of fighting. So even though they seem like they don't care, we're still not going to risk it because safety is going to be our priority. It's very normal for them to have a pecking order, so a little bit of a scuffle once you do let them loose is going to be perfectly normal. But make sure it's a day when you can be around to supervise, so that way if something does get out of hand, you can catch them, put them back in something like this, take a step back, and wait a few more days. If you don't feel like building something like this, a large dog crate would work as well. I'm going to make the chicks being in here a positive experience for the adults and for them, so use plenty of treats, especially on the day when you let them loose because it'll help aid as a distraction, so that way they're more focused on eating instead of fighting. And letting them eat their treats next to each other will help them associate each other's presence with something positive. If you haven't seen my video of how to raise chicks when I first got these guys, make sure you check that out. And if you haven't seen that yet, this black chick right here is a French black copper Moran. They're known to lay a really, really dark brown egg. And then the lighter colored one is a splash Americana, and it's a true Americana, not an Easter egger, which is what this is. Easter eggers are a lot more common. They're usually half Americana and then mixed with another breed of chicken. And they can lay green, blue, or pinkish brown eggs. True Americanas are supposed to only lay blue. Her name is Larkspur, or Lark for short, and that is Meringue. So I just put them in here a couple of minutes ago. I already have their water bowl in there. I'm gonna go get their food. And just make sure that they have an area where they can go into the sun if they want to be warm, or a shady area as well. Oh, and I also have a video on how to tame chicks featuring those two, so make sure you check that out as well. Now at night what I'm going to do is get a smaller dog crate because since they'll be sleeping they don't need anything too large, and I'm going to place it inside of the coop with the adults so that way the babies can learn that at night this is where they're supposed to go for safety, and plus it'll get these guys used to having them in the coop as well. And then in the morning I'll put them back out in a little run with everyone and just do that back and forth. I know the back and forth can get annoying and tedious, but please don't cut corners with this if you want to be safe. The minimum I would do this before letting them loose with each other is 2 weeks. The maximum I'd say is about a month. The longer the better, because if a month goes by, they're going to be so used to each other, they won't even really be phased when you let them loose. But like I said, make sure you're going to supervise it when you do it. So since these were baby chicks that I got, they were inside for a couple of months before they came out here, so I knew they were healthy. But if you're getting an adult bird that is new to your flock and you're going to add it, make sure it goes through at least 15 to 30 days of a quarantine period before you put it with the rest of your flock, because since birds are prey animals, they're really, really good at hiding diseases, and it could be devastating and wipe out your whole flock if you were to accidentally add something that was sick or that had parasites. So this is Mimosa. She's one of my silkies. She goes broody a lot, and she's raised chicks before. She's been a really, really good mom. Last year, the chicks that I added, they were about the age that these ones are now, and they were too old to need a mom. But Mimosa didn't care, and she adopted them anyway. And believe it or not, the chicks took to her, even though, like I said, they didn't really need her. But they all bonded to each other, which really helped the process because I let them loose a little earlier than I normally do because she protected them and she showed them the ways. She showed them where to go, where to find food, and it worked out so well. Since she's broody again, I'm hoping it'll happen again this time. But it was funny because I didn't even expect or plan for that to happen because, like I said, they were too old to really need a mom. But the chicks were in that little run last year, and Mimosa came out one day from being broody like she is now, and she was pacing, chirping at them, trying to get in. She was trying to bring them food, give it to them through the little wires. It was so cute. So finally I was like, you know what, what's it gonna hurt? So I put her in there with them, supervised of course, and it went great. She adopted them, and like I said, the rest is history. I let them loose and it all went really smooth. Mimosa's at the bottom of the pecking order. She's extremely sweet and mellow and docile. But anytime one of these other girls looked at her chicks last year when I let them loose, she would chase them off. So it went really, really smooth for those babies. I'm gonna show her the chicks, just in case, because I'm curious. Those are little broody sounds that she's making. So broody hens sit on their nest most of the day. They come out occasionally to eat or drink. So that's what she's doing now. She's probably really, really hungry and thirsty from sitting in there all day. So she's gonna go fill up on some food, fill up on some water, and then she's gonna go back to her nest. Last year when I first put the chicks out here, it took her a few days until she actually noticed them because she was so focused on the nest. But after a few days, she noticed, like, hey, there's babies out here, I want them. So let's see if that happens again. So yeah, it's pretty simple. We're gonna just check back on them, see how they do out there, but you can see the others really don't seem to care that they're out here, which is great. We'll continue with the rotation of putting them out here during the day and there at night, and then I will update you if Mimosa decides to adopt them. And then we will check back when it is time to let them loose with everyone, and I'll show you how to do it. Oh, and by the way, like I said earlier, how I purposely chose a bunch of docile breeds. If you're new to chickens and you're wondering what some of those breeds are, I'll tell you real quick. This is a silkie. They come in lots of colors. They're really, really sweet. They're considered a bantam. Bantams are a small breed of chicken. They don't lay as many eggs as some of the other breeds like these guys, and their eggs are smaller, but you can still eat the eggs. Silkies are so sweet and calm and quiet, and they're really, really good for kids and beginners. And as you can probably tell, they're very prone to going broody. They make great mothers. Then we have salmon faverolles or faverolles. I've heard it pronounced both ways. They're really friendly. They're a little bit quirky, which is fun. They're goofy, they're silly. Their noise sounds a little bit different from other birds, which is pretty cool. They're kind of rare to find. They originated in France, and they're very cold hardy. And they tend to rank very low in the pecking order. They don't really like confrontation, which is good. And we have Easter eggers. Like I said, they're considered mutts, so they come in all kinds of different colors. They're really outgoing, they're friendly, they're social, and they tend to be calm, but since they are a mutt, there is that slight chance you could get one that's a little bit more flighty, but I've been lucky. All 4 of mine have been really, really sweet. Then there's Orpingtons. Orpingtons also come in many colors. Buff is the most common kind of Orpington color, but I have a lavender right here and a red Orpington. They're both really sweet. Orpingtons are also prone to going broody. They're really quiet, really, really gentle. They do great with kids and beginners. And they're just a peaceful bird. They don't want to fight with anyone. They get along so well with all the chickens. The speckled Sussex is one of my favorites. This is cornflower. Really, really friendly. Very bold. She's not afraid of anything, but not in like an aggressive way. It's like she's always going to be the first one to greet you or to investigate a new situation. So that's a really, really fun breed. They're always down for a good time. And then here's a black Australorp. They lay a ton of eggs, large brown eggs. This breed actually holds the world record for the most eggs laid in 1 year. It was 364. And again, just like the Orpington, it's a really quiet, gentle breed that seems to get along with just about anyone. And Australorps also come in different colors, but black is the most common. And there's a cream leg bar. They lay blue eggs. She's not aggressive at all, but she is a little bit more shy than my other ones. Next to her is my Barnevelder, same thing as the cream leg bar. Not mean at all, but just a little bit more cautious. She lays a dark brown speckled egg. There's my Welsummer. She seems to be really, really intelligent. She's gentle. She kind of just stays out of trouble. She's not as cuddly as, say, my Sussex or my Orpingtons or my Silkies, but she still likes to hang out and be near you. She lays a really pretty dark brown egg with spots on it. And there's another one of my Easter eggers. I actually have a whole episode on Easter eggers, so make sure you check that out. And there's my golden cuckoo Moran. So every flock is going to have a leader. She is the leader of this flock. And even though she's a dominant hen, she's not quite as aggressive as a lot of other boss hens are that I've heard stories about. Like, for example, and every breed's an individual, so, you know, this rule doesn't always apply to every single bird because they're all going to have their own personalities. but I've heard a lot of people say that Rhode Island Reds can be really bossy or aggressive. So she's not like that. She's definitely the boss hen, but she doesn't really beat anyone up too hard. Like sometimes she'll chase someone off from a snack, but other than that, she's never really hurt anyone. So she's great. She lays a beautiful dark brown egg. Look, they're already bonding. And there's so many breeds of chickens out there. Brahmas are also a really friendly breed. I actually don't have a Brahma, but eventually I would like to get one. Cochins are also really, really friendly. I believe Cochins come in a standard size and in a bantam size. So yeah, just do your research, see what breeds have similar personalities, so that way you know that they'll do well together. But there's so many cool ones out there. So now that that's covered, let's get back to the chick introduction. Okay, so I thought this was really cute. Mimosa, as you know, is very broody, and she discovered the babies finally, and she's been over here talking to them and trying to bring them snacks, and right now she's teaching them how to take a dust bath, and you can see they're trying to copy her. That's so cute. You can hear her talking to them. If she keeps it up, I'll put her in there with them and see what happens. They really don't seem to mind each other. Everything's going really smooth. Oh, and I wanted to show you guys something cool. We found a bird nest in the pool shed. Don't mind the pool pump, it's pretty loud. Let me get a flashlight. Okay, I'm back with the light. Oh, they have speckles on them. At first, I thought it was going to be a dove's nest, but that is definitely not a mourning dove, because theirs is just plain white. I wonder what it is. So obviously, since there's eggs in it, we're not gonna do anything with the nest. We're gonna leave it in here. And we'll keep the door open so that way the parents can go in and out. But make sure you stay tuned and subscribe, because that'll be cool to see what those eggs are, what they hatch out and turn out to be. And speaking of birds, here's the little bird corner that we made. So yeah, I thought it turned out really cute. We're gonna hang up a hummingbird feeder too, and we have lots of flowers that will attract hummingbirds. Oh, and back to that nest that we found, in case you're wondering why the parents aren't there already, there's only 3 eggs in the nest, and birds, for the most part, don't start sitting on and incubating their eggs until their last egg is laid, and they usually only lay 1 egg a day. And the reason they don't start sitting on them until the last one is laid is because they want all their babies to hatch around the same time so they can grow up together and have better odds of surviving. So don't be alarmed if you find a nest with eggs and don't see any parents around. And of course, if you're around, they're not going to go in there either. So we're going to keep our distance. And then very soon, these little chicks will be able to join all the adult birds. It's been a couple weeks, and today is the day that I'm finally going to let the chicks loose and see how they go with the other birds. So I'm going to put out a lot of treats to help make it a positive experience for everyone, having the birds loose in there with them. And also, I guess you could say like as a distraction, so that way they're too busy foraging and eating their treats instead of fighting and picking on each other. However, since they've been around each other for a couple weeks through the bars in the cages, and they really haven't shown any signs of aggression or stress, I think it's going to go smooth. But I'm still doing it today on a weekend, so that way I can be around to supervise just in case. I'm going to put some suet in the suet cage I have hanging in there. You can also get something called a flock block. It's like a big, I don't know if it's 25 or 50, but it's like a big block of like seeds and all these different things that you can set out and they'll peck at. I'm only going to put in a couple of these because they're high in fat. And then I'm going to sprinkle some scratch in various different places, and that way they'll be entertained. I've had them inside of the coop at night in a smaller cage. That way they're still protected. But that way it'll also teach them to go in there at night. And now these guys are used to them being in all of their space. Sprinkle it all around in different spots. You can see they ruined one of their plants, but I guess they had fun digging all the dirt out. What the heck? Who laid an egg here? Well, I guess someone enjoyed the spa area so much they decided to lay an egg there. I'll have to get that. So we finally got a little bit of rain, and you can see it somewhat washed the mulch, but these have really been doing a good job of keeping it in place. Okay, so I was gonna let them loose in here to start with, but Lark decided to run right out the door once I let her loose, so I'm gonna put Meringue with her so that way they have safety in numbers just in case. They're shocked, they don't know what to do with all this space. And I keep their food in here so that way it'll also teach them to go in there at night. And I switched them to a non-medicated feed. When they were little baby chicks, I had them on the medicated to protect them against coccidiosis. But now they're on a non-medicated because now that they're all loose together, I don't want these guys eating the medicated feed because then I couldn't eat their eggs. So that'll just work out for everyone because these guys do need to be on a chick starter until they're at least 16 weeks because the calcium in the layer feed is a little bit too high for them since they're not laying eggs yet. And since they're still growing, they're going to need more protein. The other ones don't seem to care or notice. Well, I'll say it was successful. And again, if you do notice a little bit of pecking, that's totally, completely normal. That's just how they're communicating and establishing their pecking order. If it gets out of hand and it's violent to the point that the bird's actually getting injured, you are going to want to take a step back and separate them a little bit longer. You can see I didn't quite put down a thick enough mulch right here. The cardboard I put down to help keep the mud away is starting to be exposed, so I just got to get another couple bags and put that down. That's no big deal. And like I said, I'll leave their feeder in here so that gets them in the habit of coming into the coop. Mimosa's still been trying to hatch eggs. She does get kind of intrigued by them, but she's more interested in the eggs, I guess because these guys are so old that they're not really interested in her, so she's just focusing on trying to hatch eggs that will never hatch because there's no rooster, but she's trying anyway. And then the two younger ones will learn from the older birds where to find food, where to find water. They'll copy them, so looks like things are going to go really well. You can see Scone being dominant right there. Scone is that one with the naked neck. Nothing serious though. And then she's on her way. And I'm happy because now I can finally get this eyesore out of here. And they got their little swing. And I found that at this age that these ones are now, a lot of them can be kind of flighty and a little bit shy, but don't let that discourage you, because as long as you spend time with them and continue to give them treats and they associate that with you, they will mellow out again when they start laying eggs. I don't know what it is about that, but I've noticed that happen with a lot of mine, that a few of them went through a flighty stage when they were teenagers, and then once they matured fully, they became sweet, mellow, calm. I guess it's natural for them to be fearful at this young age because they're still figuring out the world and they're still so small and vulnerable. So being fearful is what keeps them alive. Because obviously they're safe in here, but they don't know that. It's their instinct. They gotta be careful. So yeah, that's basically all there is to it. That's how you add new chicks or new chickens, even if you could do it the same way if you bought new adult birds, and with an existing flock. It's really not that complicated. You can keep it simple. You just have to be patient. Patience is key. And if you take it slow and do it the right way, you shouldn't have any major issues. So make sure you check out the other chicken videos, subscribe for future ones, and good luck with your flock.